I just remember you guys acting so starstruck and so appalled
Because you were the
that
only one in the office who had never seen it. You were like, "Yeah, I've never seen Star Wars," and like all 9 of the rest of us were like, "How have you never seen it at all?" Did you have a layover in Germany or anything?
I want to say we did. I want to say we did. And that was weird, man. Just looking at what was sold in the stores.
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd see absinthe.
Oh yeah.
I had to learn about absinthe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay, man. I've always been an outgoing type of person, so I was just taking it all in. I wish I would have took more pictures.
Yeah.
It was fun just seeing everything.
Well, that's one of the fun things I like to tell people about. Like, yeah, I've been to Germany. I got to see the basement underneath of the airport in Germany because that's basically where we were. It was like when we had our layover, they took us all off the plane, and we literally walked like under the airport. And so I saw concrete and steel, and it's like that was my whole German experience.
Wow.
They had like a little duty-free shop in there, and you could buy some, German candies and chocolates and a couple magazines and stuff. But that was about it.
Yeah, man. I just remember like being dry mouthed and thirsty and maybe hungry, and I don't know, man. I was thinking I was just feeling bad for the people that was stuck on the plane that had to wash the weapons, and
oh yeah,
I was just happy to stretch my legs.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think in that whole flight, man, the longest amount of time we spent in the air was about 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I remember just trying to take sleeping pills and whatnot and get comfortable. But my Germany experience was more or less trying not to get blood clots and stretching my legs and taking my boots off and whatnot.
Yeah, feet swelling all up from being on the plane so long. Yeah. I remember lots of Volkswagens, and that was about it. Like,
finding a couple walls, putting some stickers up.
Yeah. Left your mark on Germany, huh?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
So when you got over to Kuwait and stuff then, what was it like for you?
Man, we were flying into Kuwait, and before the plane even landed, I started sneezing.
Yeah. Just all the dust.
Oh, my mama, bro, I'm serious. My nose just instantly, like once my nose hit that air, like the plane was descending. I remember it like yesterday. The plane is descending, and I think Sergeant Shook is in front of me or to the right of me, and I'm just sneezing. Like, my nose is projecting every particle that's coming in here. I'm sneezing.
Back in the gas chamber.
Yeah, man. Flashback. So we land in Kuwait. They open the door. It feels like a big oven. It feels like you just opened the oven and that heat wave hits you. Now, granted, it's like 9:00 at night, but it feels like it's hot, man. We're sweating already. And, we're tired, jet lagged. They're pushing us. We got to carry our bags. We're trying to find a tent that we can sleep in for the night. And there's a McDonald's, but the cheese tastes funny. Yeah, man. So I think we land in Ali Asalim, and I think that's just a transit place where everybody comes into the area, whether you're going to Iraq, Kuwait, Afghanistan, whatever the case may be, you're going to land in Ali Asalim. You stay in those transit tents.
Yeah.
So you just go you go to the mayor's cell, the mayor tent, you get a room. He tells you what bunk you're in, and there's a bunk and a wall locker in this tent, and there's probably about 8 bunks in this tent. So you're sleeping next to a random soldier. You don't know. Like I said, it's a transit tent, so it's 3:00 in the morning, 9:00 at night. You don't know what's going on, how long this guy's been asleep. So we get in there, we settle down, and we got our rally point, I guess, for the next morning. And we meet back up, separate our bags by who's going where.
Yeah.
And we just it's hurry up and wait again. So we're waiting on another bus for another plane at that point.
Yeah, I remember the first big thing waking up over there. You talk about what time of day it was. Like, it's 4:30 in the morning and the sun's coming up. Like,
time, bro. There was no sense of time.
Yeah. Am I on another planet? What's happening right now?
You know, I'm in this wild ass country. I'm sneezing. I don't know what time it is. I'm hungry. My mouth's dry. My boogers are the size of cornflakes, bro. The dust, the air quality is just so different. I'm just trying to adjust.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm just trying to get somewhat comfortable.
So at that point, did you know that you were coming straight to our team?
I knew I was going to Iraq.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what team or whatever. I don't think we figured that out until we got to Arifjan.
Okay.
I think once we got to Arifjan, we started putting people on, hey, you're going to be doing TCMs. You're going to be here. You're going to be there. You know, you're on DDST South. You're going this way. I always knew I was going to Iraq. I just didn't know what part of Iraq or how it was split up or who was going to be on my team.
Okay. Because, like, for us, they sent us all to the center of Iraq, and then we split up from there once we figured out where we were going. Because did like, Sergeant...
It's the Joint Base Balad, wasn't it?
Yeah, to JBB.
Yeah.
Because you came to us by yourself, right? Or did you come with Sergeant DeValier?
I think I came with Sergeant DeValier and Sergeant Anderson.
Gotcha.
They're unit.
Okay. Because I was trying to remember if we had sent somebody to pick you up. Okay, no, I remember now. Because when I got there was different NCOs, and they were on their way out. And so Sergeant Anderson and DeValier were there to replace them. And so, I mean, I only knew them for, like, I don't know, maybe a week or something.
Yeah.
You guys all showed up to replace and change over the whole team.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering how that worked, because I don't remember who was there before us. I don't think I met anybody I know you were there before I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Sergeant DeValier and Sergeant Anderson and Master Sergeant Keiron.
Okay, yeah. Now I remember. You guys all came together.
Yeah, because Mayberry was already there. Yeah.
Yeah, Mayberry was there before I even got there. And then we had another person like us who did the plans. I was there for a couple of weeks before you, and they all, like, one left one week, couple left the next week, and then you guys started trickling in and replacing everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, we did go to Central Iraq. We went to Joint Base Balad, sat there for a couple of days till they figure out what part of Iraq we was going to.
Yeah.
And did we take a Black Hawk in?
I don't know about you guys. I was flown on C-130.
I don't know. I don't know what I took in. I don't know. I don't know how I flew in. I can't remember, man. It's such a blur.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could remember details about that. You know, I regret not filming enough and whatnot.
Well, I forget a lot of it until I start doing this, and then I start talking to people, and it's like all this stuff starts coming back. You
start unlocking memories and whatnot.
Yeah, well, like, even just the three of you guys all coming together. Like, I forgot you guys all came as a group. Because, and like I say, I only knew those other people for like a week or 2 weeks at most before they were gone again.
So yeah, I think somehow we all popped up in was it Adder?
We went to Basrah first.
Basrah. That's where we was at, the D main building we had the building with the green beans and all that.
Yep. We had the big up armored building where, like, rockets would hit it, and it's just like, all right, keep going, keep working.
Right. It was wild. And I remember looking up videos about Basrah and knowing, because it was a COB, contingency operating base, and I guess it was so small compared to the bases everyone else was at.
Yeah, like if you were at JBB or Baghdad or something.
It was just so small, and so I can't remember how many times we got hit or attacked or whatever, but I remember my first mortar attack, man. Well, I didn't sleep. When we first got to Central Iraq, I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
That's when, all right, I'm in Iraq now. Because I think when we got to JBB, there was a mortar attack and 5 people had died before, like the night before we had got there. I didn't sleep.
Wow.
I stopped sleeping. And then we got to, we get down to Basrah, and it's my first attack, and I'm just panicking. I'm gonna die.
I remember because you and I were standing outside the housing we were in some of the walls and stuff, and we're standing there in gravel. And oh man, I don't even remember if the first one was an attack. I think it was no. It was the infantry was they would light like flares and stuff because we were getting attacked, so they were on the lookout for guys. So there was a couple of booms, and I'm like looking around because I've been there a couple of weeks, so I'm starting to get used to it. I'm like looking around, and I look back, and the gravel is all pushed out, and you're like on the ground. I'm like, you okay, dude? Like, that's not even the bad guys, man. That's us.
I'm on the ground. What the?
Yeah, you were like, what the? And then, like, you got back up and, like, yeah, it's all right, man. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was the bad guys, that big dome thing right there would be launching 1,000 tracer rounds into the sky right now.
Man, oh, man. I just remember panicking.
Yeah.
You know, because you got your vest and your helmet and your weapons. Because we carried both weapons. We had the M16 and the pistol and the Beretta.
Yeah.
And I just remember grabbing a weapon and everything and donning all my gear and hauling ass to the bunker, to the rally point and whatnot.
I mean, I can imagine it's pretty nerve-wracking when you show up and they're like, yeah, like 5 people died last night. And you're just like, wait, what?
Well, what happened?
Intro.
Mortar, you know, nothing.
Yeah.
Little,
pretty normal.
Nothing
happens like every other day.
Nothing unusual, I guess, on that base.
Yeah, I can imagine like your mindset already, like leading up to, like you're wondering when your first one will be, since you show up and there was just one that happened and people are gone.
That was the. I think that's probably that was my life-changing moment. Like at that point, I realized I'm not in control. You know, I'm a sitting duck. You know, I could be taken out at any point in time, just, you know, in my sleep or while I'm at work or walking to work, you know, and it's not like I can really see who's trying to kill me or anything like that.
No.
So it's like knowing that as I'm waking up in the middle of the night is pretty nerve-wracking. I was panicking for like the first, you know, everybody panics for like the first 5, maybe 10, and then at a certain point you're like, all right. You know, you're like, all right, you know, the sirens are going off again. You throw your stuff on, you mosey on down to the bunker.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, after a couple of weeks, you're just annoyed. Like, will you guys just like cut it out? I'm trying to get some sleep. I got work to do.
Right. You know, you got the C-rams going off because I believe my chew was near the C-ram somewhere.
Yeah, man, it was right on the corner of our little, because they were like little 4 building pods, and the C-ram was right outside our little 4 building group.
So I remember hearing, I don't know if it was shrapnel or something falling on top of the chews.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I don't know if a C-ram, you know, knocked a mortar out or something exploded, but I remember hearing droppings on top of my container, and not just like that was fucking with me as well.
Yeah.
You know, it was. It felt like more psychological torture, just being here, knowing it's working, but you're just sitting here and it's blowing up over your head or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that was at a certain point, that was the fireworks. You know, it was entertaining to watch it.
Yeah.
At months in, you know,
yeah,
I started looking forward to that.
Watching the stream of red get going out.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. It was
wild.
I like the way we had it pretty nice compared to where most people slept in Iraq. I don't know if they had tents or they had like 20-man bays, but we had our privacy, you know?
Yeah, because we were 2 people ones in that one, right?
No, we were single in Basrah. We was double in Adder, I believe.
Well, I'm trying to think. It was kind of like a little duplex. It's like one portable thing held 2 people, but you each had your own room, if I remember correctly.
No. So in Basrah, you know, you go inside the T-walls. I think it was a mobile home. I think it was split into 3.
Oh, yeah. And
everybody had a door.
Yeah.
It was a single room because I think there were some medics that stayed near me or some dental people that stayed near me. But yeah. And you had to walk to the shower or the bathrooms and whatnot. Yeah, we had it pretty nice.
Comparatively to some people.
Compared to most, we had it pretty nice. Had to walk to work. That was pretty cool. Stop at Green Beans, get some coffee.
Yeah.
That was better than Starbucks. I never really understood why we had to carry around in the chamber, because we were all red, right?
Well, we were supposed to be carrying the green. Like they didn't even want us. No, I'm sorry. We were we were amber. We had a magazine in, but like we would chamber one and stuff when we were doing a pickup mission. So when we had the drivers and stuff that were on site, like we would carry with a round in. But most of the time we were supposed to just have the magazine in, but no round in the chamber.
That was hard to wrap my head around. Having, if I'm not mistaken, the U.S. government had Iraqi drivers pick up our loads and had like maybe British security or something escorted. That was hard to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers were from all over. I mean, we had some of them that were, they call them third country nationals or whatever. So some of them were like Pakistan, stuff like that. Some of them were local Iraqis, but yeah, they were all contractors. It wasn't army people at all.
And I remember hearing stories about loads getting hijacked or going missing, and they peeling open containers and filling it up with sandbags, and just these security teams not getting the loads to the ship in Kuwait and whatnot. I never really could understand. I didn't know what we were doing until after. I didn't realize how much a vital role we played, but none of it, in the middle of it, none of it made sense. Like, why are we, loading our stuff on this guy's truck? I don't know. It didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, especially when they would show up wanting to do stuff like because there are requirements for all these things, so only certain loads can go on certain trucks and everything has to be anchored down. So you'd have guys that would show up that didn't have the locks in their truck beds, so they would have to use giant ratchet straps to throw over the containers. And some guys would show up without ratchet straps, and they're trying to tie that crap down with rope and stuff. We're like, nah, dude. You can't leave here with that thing tied.
Inshallah.
yeah,
Inshallah,
exactly.
inshallah.
Like you got this 10,000-pound container that's just floating on the back of this truck, tied down with a rope. Like you take a corner a little bit too hard, and that gets dumped out. Like, nah, man, we can't. What are you talking about?
It's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work. But hey, I don't think we had any incidents. I don't recall us.
I want to say before you got there, we did have one movement that they tried to, because they were trying to steal our stuff right off of the main military supply roads, and they set up like the fake checkpoints and stuff, and where they would just like tell the guys like, hey, unload that, like that's our stuff. That happened before you got there, and so that's when they started to scramble the infantry. They would get like a quick reaction force, and they would escort them to a certain point, and then they would be like fine once they got past those checkpoints and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it was really crazy in Afghanistan, because since you're driving through the mountains, like you talk about opening containers, like they'd have people waiting on rooftops and stuff when you're driving through cities or you're driving by cutouts through the mountains and stuff, and they would just like Fast and Furious style hop on top of containers with blowtorches and cut these containers and peel them back like a sardine can, and just like get whatever they could out of them, and then they'd be gone. You'd show up. They open up the back door and look, there's a giant hole in the top and everything's missing. Like, yeah, man, it was wild.
Yeah, that stuff's getting sold at the local market.
Yeah, down to the bazaar.
At the local bazaar, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild to just to be a part of something like that. It's just, it was just hearing the stories and knowing what was going on. It never ceased to amaze me, but how many loads were going out and how much stuff we were putting in these people's hands. Yeah. How much stuff we were trusting, to make it where it went. And for us to not have any on our watch, but obviously before us, it went down. But that QRF was probably a good stop. That was a good move.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's what, when talking about this with a lot of people, when you that's like what inspired me, among some other things, to do this, to try to tell, and hopefully I get some other people that I don't know to tell about what they did too.
It'd be dope if you could find somebody that was there the same time we were and give a different, like if you were on this base at this time, because there's like Facebook groups. I'm in a Facebook group, and every now and then there's something that jumps out at me, and it says, "You've probably been to Iraq if," and it'll have something like jacking off in a porta potty. You know what I'm saying? Something, and it just jogs your memory or whatever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you can find more people that were there with us at that time that have a different point of view of what we did.
I
That'd
need
be
to.
awesome.
I'm just really bad about it, and like social media is like a big thing. Like I hate social media, so like I've made them. I just haven't put any time into it.
Man, you gotta take that step. But this is awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're unlocking a lot of memories that I forgot I had. I'm telling you.
I'm just trying to remember because like thinking back now, it makes more sense when you're like, yeah, man, I don't even remember a lot of the stuff we did because you were always kind of aloof. But it was like you were a little bit younger than me. You were the youngest guy on our team.
Yeah.
And it's not that you did a bad job or anything, but you were just kind of like you were still in that mode of like I'm 20 and it's party time. Mm-hmm. And so it's like we did stuff, sure, but but it kept it fun. We had a lot of fun over there too, doing dumb crap and
I'm telling you. Yeah, it was. I mean, because there was things to do. I can't remember if that was Basrah where they had the hookahs and whatnot. And, and the bazaar. We'd go out to the bazaar. It was right outside the gate. Go shopping, get like the bootleg DVDs.
Yeah.
Get all type of fake shit.
Oh, you remember when we got the what was it? Butters got that blender that already had like food in it.
Oh man, I remember smoking BDs or BDBs or something. I remember smoking these hand rolled leaves, and I don't even know why I picked that up. I don't know if I was stressing or what.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of our stress relief was when we got to Adder. We started, I think. Well, we might have started in Basrah too, because Basrah had that little. It was like that little hookah shop, and then Adder had the outdoor like hookah bar.
Right.
So we started in Basrah at the little hookah. That was like our Saturday nights, we would hang out.
It was a drive on that back road.
Yeah.
We would drive on that back road. We were right next to the airfield. I remember that view. Oh my God. I remember that view, just seeing helicopters and everything land on that airstrip, the sunset. It was perfect. I do remember the small hookah shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. You were open because I hadn't gone to it yet, and you had explored a little bit and found it. And
right.
Like, yeah, we should go to the hookah shop. And then I go out there, and you're like, yeah, try the strawberry and this, that, whatever. I'm like, this is awesome.
Because there's a hookah shop in downtown Charleston we'd always go to. So I had already, first of all, my brother-in-law is Jordanian, so I had already had a little bit of an insight on the Arab culture and whatnot. So I'd go to this hookah shop downtown Charleston, and it was cool. I liked the vibe, I liked the buzz and whatnot. And it was like a cool, calm setting. So to be in Iraq, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And I was already comfortable with it. So yeah, man, hell yeah, I needed something to do.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's pretty much just gym, work, and hookah shop on the weekends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember how many days we were working at that time. But I felt like we were always at work.
The first 6 weeks, we were doing like 7 days a week because we worked, it was like 12, 14-hour days, and then Sundays they would do half days. So, like, I think I came in the morning, and then you would take over it in the evening, and we would, like, swap off and stuff. Because we were there for, man, it was like 2 months before we started getting just Sundays off. Because we were working we were still 6 days a week after that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just work. And I think the best thing that was going on that base was that spin class.
Oh, yeah.
That spin class, man. We got to find that instructor of that spin class. Whoever you are on Cobb Basrah, was it 2011?
Yes.
Around May 2011. Man, you are a legend and a hero. That was the best spin class I had ever been to.
I never exercised so hard that like I had sweat through my shorts that bad. Like you would think we had just come out of the pool. Like you sweat so hard in that little concrete building.
I'm telling you, man, it was a great music, great atmosphere, good workout. I'm sitting there sweating my balls off, and like everybody looks the same. Nobody has civilian clothes. Everybody's either in uniform or PT clothes, and it's just like it's like, all right, man, I think at that point, that's what helped me get comfortable with the routine between the hookah lounge and the spin class, the Saturday nights and, just hanging out and whatnot. And having a terabyte of movies. It wasn't too bad. And I think we were there from May to, I don't know how long we were there.
So we were
at Basrah.
We were in Basrah for only for a couple of months.
So did you know that's where Bin Laden's from or something like that?
No, I hadn't heard that.
I think he's from Basrah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were in Basrah for a couple of months because we were in Adder for like 5 months. Because we spent a total of, 8 months in Iraq. And it might have been 9 months in Iraq and 2 months in Kuwait. So I think it was like 3 months in Basrah and then 5, maybe like 5+ in Adder.
Because it was like December time, New Year's time in Kuwait. Because I went on leave. You guys completely closed out Iraq. I went on R&R.
Yeah.
For Christmas, I believe.
Yeah.
Christmas and New Year. So by the time I was set to come back, you guys were already in Kuwait.
Yeah.
So I just came back to Kuwait. So yeah, we left Basrah, went to Adder, and I think from Adder, we were somewhere where me and Sergeant Anderson we were doing those missions where we had to fly.
Yeah, you guys got sent a lot more. Like I went on a few, but you went to the little FOBs a lot more, and doing little pickup missions and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Flying on Blackhawks, going to a random unit, living out of a rucksack, and these bases were small. They were so small. I went to one place. Their PX was just like a dinner table. It was just, I swear, man, it was just like a long dinner table, like a beer pong table, and they just had stuff on it. Yeah. And that was their PX. And they black out at night, so at nighttime there was no lights.
Yeah.
You had to have the red light or NVGs. Yeah, man, it was that was probably the highlight. Once we started moving around, that's when I started feeling like I was a part of something. That's when I really started feeling like I was doing something. Yeah. Once my first time on a Black Hawk, they give us the helmet, they got us on comms, we're flying. The pilot goes almost ground level. He's looking for UXO, which is some bombs or whatever. I don't know why he's doing this, but he's saying, let us know if you see any unexploded ordnances. I don't know if he's messing with us, but man, we're having a time in this Black Hawk flying to this little old base where it's blacked out at night. And we got to go on like a little scavenger hunt. We got to find this guy we've been looking for that we've been emailing back and forth about his equipment getting picked up. And so we got to go get settled in, find a place to sleep, find out where everything is, find this guy, and we got to do this in a span of 3 days, 6 days, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And
get everything picked up and loaded and make sure everything checks out. But none of them ever went smoothly.
Yeah, never.
There's always hiccups, man.
Well, it's like you say, it's totally different when you're staring at the plans, because we were just staring at the plans for hours and hours and on the phone with the units and trying to make sure everything was correct, but then when you get to go out and do the pickup mission and like you see like, oh yeah, like this list of all these things is all in that, and it's loading up and moving away. It definitely makes it real that it's not just like video game or something, just numbers on the screen. Like the stuff actually makes things move.
Like this is real life, looking at it on paper, reading it on paper doesn't, redeploying a unit doesn't sound as cool as, hey man, I'm getting these guys together and all their stuff and shipping it out. It's going to get on this truck. It's going to convoy down to Kuwait, where it's going to get on this ship, and then it's going to be on this ship for 6 months before it gets to this port. Yeah. And it's going to get off this. Like hearing it and reading it on paper sounds cool until you actually go put your hands on it. This container number you've been burning into your mind for the past 6 weeks. You already know what's in it, how much it weighs, and it's like it's rewarding to go see it and put your hands on it and watch it leave. I think that's one of the highlights of doing my job was doing those pickup missions. You know, it didn't matter how shitty the base was, how horrible their DFAC was, or how shitty their PX table was. But those highlights of actually getting on the ground and making shit happen, that made it worth it.
Yeah. It was a little bit of fun sprinkled in between. Like one of my favorite things was we were working on some of the plans in the office, and when you had it was a mechanic unit, and they put on cheetah bars on their.
Oh my god!
You look up at me like, "Yo, Reddick, what the fuck is a cheetah bar?"
You don't know how that shit is ingrained in my memory, and I guess it came out to being, it was supposed to be a cheater bar.
Yeah, they were breaker bars. Then they would just, so they were there to try to, get the real, just a real long socket wrench to get the lug nuts off of trucks.
Right.
But yeah, they called them cheetah bars.
And it's like a lot of these units, they don't realize we don't need the very details of what's in these containers. If you're a mechanic unit and you got a foot locker full of tools, just put tools.
Yeah.
That's cool. I know what's in there. But yeah, they were putting 3 screwdrivers, 2 cheetah bars. What the hell is a cheetah bar? And they spelled it cheetah like the animal.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
I'm like, I don't know, man. We got to call them. And I remember calling them up. Like, hey, I got to ask you a question. I'm looking at your plan like, what is a cheetah bar?
Was that Sergeant Anderson?
I don't remember, man.
It sounds like 3-1 Cav, bro. Yeah. I ended up running into him again.
Really?
Yeah, years down the line, my next deployment. But yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny, man. Oh man, I wish I would have did more, like with customs. Getting to see these inspections and seeing what type of things they pull out of these containers before they seal them up. I can only imagine. Just looking at the type of stuff that people tried to ship through us, like you're not going to put these sensitive items like ACOGs in a regular tough box with regular stuff, man. That's gonna get stolen. It's gonna get bumped and broken. I'd like to know what they got to see.
Did you ever go out with the Coasties to do any of their inspections and stuff?
I think I did. It freaked me out when they get inside the container and close it. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Well, that's why you leave your buddy on the outside.
I don't care. Nah. I need to see some light.
Like you and I be in there and be like, all right, Reddick, you're going to have to go in the container. I can't do that.
Nah, I'm good. I'm not doing it.
Well, they were looking for holes, because you go in, shut the doors, and if light shines through, you can see a hole,
I wasn't certified for that. The first time hearing we had Coast Guard, it was like, yo, what are they here for?
Yeah.
And then I heard raid team, and I'm thinking, oh man, we got some killers on the team. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, and come to find out what they're supposed to do, it makes sense why they're with us. And it was pretty cool learning how they worked. And the funniest part about having those guys with us was they wore our uniform.
Yeah.
And their rank. So, walking down to the chow hall and whatnot, soldiers walking by will see that big bird and shield on their chest and didn't know what to do. So you had lieutenants and sergeants and everybody going to salute these guys and just looking confused.
Yeah.
Man, it was hilarious, man. Oh man.
So what did you end up doing down in Kuwait?
What do you mean after I got back from R&R?
Yeah.
So after I got back from R&R, I think they put us with 840th.
Okay. Yeah, we were with the 840th.
Damn, what did I do? Was that
nothing? Probably.
No, right. You know what? Because I came late. Everybody that came from Iraq had already been in position.
Yeah.
So I think I remember being the commander's driver or the sergeant major's driver.
Yeah.
I remember being a driver. I can't remember what my day job was though at the unit.
Sitting around waiting for him to need to go somewhere.
Yeah, it had to be, man. And that was probably the best job I could have because anytime somebody tried to task me, I gotta take sergeant major somewhere. I gotta take the commander somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always had a vehicle. I'd take him to his meetings. pick him up first thing in the morning, take him to his meetings and whatnot, hang out. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of coasted that Kuwait side of it. It wasn't a whole lot going on, you know, just following up on the back end of what we would ship out and running. I think I ran TCMs from this side, but I can't remember. It had to be nothing.
Yeah.
No, because I was in the office with Sondevalier and Tisdell. No, Sondevalier was in the office.
Oh yeah, there was the one time where you broke Tisdell's leg. Yeah.
I didn't break. I did break his leg playing basketball. I did. Yeah, nah, man.
Because you and Tisdell got real close in Kuwait because you guys were, because I was off somewhere else. And I remember being a little jealous, actually, because I was, like, separated from everybody. And I'm like, man, like, Thompson and Tisdell are hanging out all the time, and I don't get to do anything.
Yeah, man, me and Tisdell got close, man. We was kicking it because I got him hooked on hookah. We both played Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think his room was across from mine in Kuwait, and we just hop on Call of Duty. We'd always laugh at the senior NCOs together. We, like I said, we were 20, bro. We were just immature kids, and we clicked, you know. It wasn't until I started hanging out with, like, Press and Johnson, you know, going to because Kuwait had more to do, like open mic. They had better food, 24-hour gym and whatnot. I started branching out and seeing other things. Me and Tisdell was pretty tight, man. That was my dog. Yeah. That was my dog. And I think I remember when I got promoted that year. I got promoted. So, yeah, I was 20. I just remember getting that rank so young. Being a 20-year-old E5 was just unheard of. I haven't seen anybody that young. And yeah, I just remember, like, all right, I'm a sergeant now. Now everybody wants me to do more work. Everybody's harder on me, and I got to pull extra duty, and I'm staying late now. I'm like, man, this shit is for the birds. But and I just got that from I guess doing what I was supposed to do, man.
Yeah.
I was a PT stud. They had a better gym, and I didn't realize how good of shape I was in. That was the best shape of my life.
Dude, you were a monster, man. I remember back then, because you and I worked out all the time, and you asked me, you're like, hey, man, like, how are you not in better shape? I'm like, just genetics, man, because as much as we work out, I got to do all this to maintain doughy. Like,
dough. Just because man.
You and I were eating nothing but, like, grilled chicken and salads all the time.
And then even surf and turf night. Shit, it was...
We would, like, while out on the weekends... And, you know, protein shakes and all that, and doing 2-a-days, 3-a-days, working out constantly. And, like, you were just a little bit, I was starting to catch up a little bit. You were a little faster than me. And because I was always trying to push, because you could just about max the run and because we could max push-ups and sit-ups. Like, that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, that was easy. That was the
fastest
I'd run in my life, man.
Like, you and I were right there. And I was like, man, you'd be like 10 feet in front of me. And I'm like, I gotta catch him.
That's probably the best shape of my life. Like I said, man, we were just working out. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
It was nothing else to do but work out and eat healthy. And I think everybody was on protein. Everybody had some kind of workout regimen. Somebody had some kind of pre-workout. I think I was on, they discontinued it, but I think I was on Jacked 3D.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was on Jacked 3D and some protein. So, and of course, I lost all that weight. Once I got back home, I wasn't in that routine no more.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to manage in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It is. You got real life situations to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what you were involved in when we got to Kuwait, because I was working at the port. So we'd leave base every day.
Yeah.
To go to the port. I don't know where were you working at?
So
or did
I was
you go back with because you were IMA?
Yeah. So you stayed a little bit longer than I did, and I was made the first sergeant's like right hand man, and I was supposed to like drive him around, but I didn't drive because he wanted to drive all the time, and so I was kind of in a position like you where like I always had to be available to do something with him. But like my whole responsibility was basically turning in attendance every morning. Like that's all I did.
Do a little presentation.
He was always on my butt, man, too, because, like, I would try to be like, hey, first sergeant, nothing else. Because, like, I wanted to try at first I thought, oh, I can learn from first sergeant. I was trying to get promoted, too. You know, like, I had turned in my packet as well and did the board and all that kind of stuff over there. And I was like, oh, maybe I can get some knowledge. And that dude just basically, I don't know, did whatever he did. Didn't give a crap. Unless I wasn't there. And then it was a big problem. So, and I'd be like, hey, first sergeant, I'm going to go to the other building, you know, be over there. And he'd be like, all right. And then he'd come looking for me. He'd be like, where were you? Like, I told you where I was going to be. Yeah. So,
I told you where I'm going to be at, man.
Yeah, no, Kuwait sucked.
Yeah, it was. I think I liked Iraq better because it had me more involved. You know what I mean? I felt like I was actually doing my job, you know, just being without a weapon in Kuwait, you know, just having to wear the PT belt all the time. And just, it was, don't get me wrong, it was fun. I enjoyed it, but I kind of was homesick when I was in Kuwait. You know, I kind of wanted to go back to Iraq. I kind of like being isolated, away from everybody, away Kuwait from because it was just our team on that base.
Yeah.
You know, when we were in Iraq, it was just us, and it was something about that small, tight knit group that made us untouchable.
Yeah, the untouchables. Yeah.
That made us untouchable. So yeah, I enjoyed. I'd say I enjoyed Iraq a little bit more than Kuwait in that aspect.
Kuwait was a weird middle ground because it was like there was more things to do, but you're still also kind of sort of in a combat area, but not actually in a combat area. So it's like they were trying to implement stuff of being back home on a regular post because they were supposed to be trying to turn it into a permanent duty station where people were going to be doing like 3-year assignments at a time and stuff. But then it's like, oh, you have to try to maintain all the, like, you know, button up the uniform all the time, but then still like, oh, you still got to deal with, like, you're right next door to Iraq. Yeah, it was just a pain in the butt.
It was just horrible.
So where did you go after all that with the first deployment? You went back to because you said your unit deployed, so you just went back home with your unit, right?
Yeah, so that was May 2011, 2012. So I remember, you know, I think we demobilized through Fort Hood, I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes to Fort Hood, and or did we go back to Camp Shelby?
I went back to Camp Shelby.
I think we went to Camp Shelby as well because we took a bus. We bused back into Charleston, and I remember the bus taking us back home base in Charleston. And so I get back home. You know, I'm in the reserve, so you know, deployment's over. I think I got like maybe 2 months of leave built up that they're going to pay out. So I got some money. I'm just, you know, sitting on my money, trying to figure out what I want to do next. So after doing logistics and transportation in the Army, I figured I'd do that as a civilian.
Yeah.
I get on USA Jobs, Indeed.com. I just start sending my resume everywhere. Start sending resumes. I had a few interviews, but nobody would hire me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get hired as a veteran in this experience. I'm talking warehouses, trucking companies, the rail yard, the shipyard. I'm trying everything, but I got the experience, but not the educations. I don't have their certificates. I don't know their systems. So I never get hired as in the field of transportation. The only people that called me back was the mall. I became a mall cop.
Yeah.
I became a mall cop, man. It got the bills paid. I had a free membership to Planet Fitness, so I could work out. It was cool. It wasn't until I ran into a guy I went to school, I used to wrestle with in middle school. He told me he was working at the prison. So when I was tired of being a mall cop, you know, I became a CO at the state prison. Started doing that for a while. Left the state prison, went to the county jail, and I just rode that out until for about 3 years.
Yeah.
For 3 or 4 years, and I just at that point I started getting tired of the military, but I know I needed it to set myself up for a better life. You know, I wanted the 100% paid for school. I wanted to make sure I can get my GI Bill and all of that. So I volunteered in 2016 for another deployment. You know, so I came home for 5 years trying to get my feet straight.
Yeah.
You know, jobs wasn't hiring. I couldn't get on the career path that I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was looking for an out. So I went back to what I knew as, stable food, where to be, what to do. So I volunteered for another deployment. So between 2012 and 2016, within that 4 years, it was just job to job. I mean, there were good jobs, steady jobs, but it didn't land me where I needed to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I think 2016 was a turning point.
Yeah.
When I started on my next deployment. So 2016, I'm in barber school at this point.
Okay.
I've tried being a mall cop. I tried being a CO. I tried being a cop. I got into a motorcycle accident that sat me down for a while. I came back up. I said, man, I think we had annual training somewhere in Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, somewhere out in the sticks. We're out in the woods
for about 2 weeks, and I need a haircut. So
yeah, nobody in Wisconsin can cut hair. Of course, people was getting their heads toe up. So I told myself, man, I think I said, if I knew how to cut hair, I could make a lot of money right now, because it was pretty much an all black unit out there in this hole in the wall city with no barbers. We're in these woods. So I said, man, I could make a lot of money if I cut hair. And I told myself, if I ever get out of the military, I'd cut hair.
Yeah.
So I signed up for barber school, and I tried to do barber school, but paying for school while being in school, not getting paid, was hard. So I volunteered for another deployment.
Yeah.
So I dropped out of barber school and went back overseas. I went to Kuwait, back to hell. I went back to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering for a second there, you were talking about it's pretty much an all-black unit, and you said no one knows how to cut hair. I was wondering if it was like there weren't a lot of people who were trained to cut, because black, I mean, you have, in a general sense, it's a different style. You have to come about it between like the oils in your hair and, like the it's not just curly, like it's a different kind of curly.
Yeah, it's a different thickness, curl pattern and whatnot. But one of my soldiers did end up cutting my hair.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a terrible job, but
he tried.
Yeah, he tried. It got me by, because, I mean, it's just frustrating that you got to maintain a standard while in the field. I didn't get it, but I needed a haircut, and that was the aha moment. He was the only guy that had clippers that was offering to cut my hair, and he botched it. The lineup was good. But everything else, be all right.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about America is recognizing within the free market, like, hey, there is an opportunity here. No one knows how to do it. I can go learn how to do it, and then use that skill to try to establish something. Yeah,
and I think it was a good thing that he cut my hair. I think it was a good thing, because him having the confidence to even try it was enough for me that, man, if he could do that, I can draw graffiti. I know how to. I can make a line straight. I can. I'm an artist. I think I can get it. So yeah, I tried to sign up for barber school, and I tore some heads up just like he did.
You got to start somewhere, man.
Yeah, I started cutting hair in the kitchen at my homeboy's house. Yeah. I had a roommate, and I started cutting hair in the kitchen. I had another homeboy. He was a DJ. He'd always have house parties at his house or at his homeboy's house, and he'd have a party in the living room, and I'm cutting hair in his kitchen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I grinded it out.
Well, that's why you hear about a lot of like cosmetology school people do. Every time they have a big get together and they go to practice, the makeup on your friends and family and all that. Gotta find whatever victims you can.
You got to, man. It's part of the cause, man.
Yeah. So did you end up having to stop barber school to deploy?
Yeah. So it was 2016. I was in barber school for probably about 3 months. Barber school is 10 months long.
Wow. Okay.
So I was probably in barber school for a good 3 or 4 months. And like I said, I wasn't getting paid to be in barber school.
Yeah.
The haircuts were $6. We get the tips, but and I still had to pay for school. my school wasn't 100% covered by the VA yet because I didn't have. You got to get a certain amount of active duty time before your school can be 100% covered as a reservist. So I think the VA at the time was covering maybe 60 or 40%.
Yeah.
Can't remember which one, but I was covering the other half, and it just got too hard. I was going to school full time. I had a part-time job, and it just wasn't leveling out. So, my relationship wasn't in the best position. So I yielded, and I said, man, I'm gonna just volunteer for another deployment. Yeah, I had to leave Barber school. Of course, they didn't penalize me or anything.
Yeah.
And I deployed with a unit out of Florida, out of Miami, Florida.
Okay.
They're in the same battalion, kind of like a sister unit.
Yeah.
But so the Army was paying for me to travel back and forth to Miami, for about 6 months leading up to this deployment. So I'm getting flights, hotel, rental car.
Wow.
We're getting the king treatment, man. We're running these missions, and we're renting cars and whatnot in the Army's dollars. So I quit Barber school. I stopped Barber school, and I'm getting ready for this year coming up. Like I said, there's a lot of training we got to do. So you're getting a check. So, I got some money coming in, and I'm traveling. And, I took my stuff with me. I was cutting hair this go around.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I like cutting hair, but just paying for school and the position I was in, it wasn't balancing out. But I loved the art of cutting hair. But,
so you
I
keep practicing on your battle buddies overseas and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I was at that point, I was cutting my own hair.
Yeah.
And, everybody could see me cutting. They, line up here, bald head here, and then I started fading. And, I took what I learned the past couple months in barber school and just brought it with me.
Yeah.
I had my clippers, I had my supplies, I knew everything I needed. I was just getting the reps in now. I was just practicing. So yeah, I should have cut more, but I got my reps in cutting hair on that deployment.
Did you take pictures of while you were doing it?
I got maybe 1 or 2 pictures of me cutting hair overseas.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that would have been kind of cool, like reviewing the game tape. Like, hey, like here's when we, landed wherever, and then here's when we were leaving, and like how much you improved over the time.
Yeah, man. I didn't. At that point, early in my first deployment, I was already thinking of my exit strategy. When I left barber school, that was my exit strategy. I knew I loved cutting hair. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I just couldn't afford to do it right now.
Yeah.
So once I got to Kuwait for the second time, I started my exit strategy. I'm like, I'm gonna get my skills up. And once I get home, I'll have the money. I'll have the school 100% paid for me to make this happen.
Yeah. So what was your second deployment like?
It was real chill. That was more of another party time. It's my second go around. I know the base a little bit more. I'm more comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm running into people that I ran into the last time. I'm doing sort of the same job. I'm running TC aims, talking to units, redeploying them, sending them home and whatnot.
Did you do it all out of Kuwait, or did you go to Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I did it all out of Kuwait.
Okay.
Yeah, all out of Kuwait. We traveled to Kuwaiti Naval Base, and we traveled to other bases in Kuwait. But yeah, I never left Kuwait.
Yeah.
We had our office, just me and one other soldier. So we had our NCOIC and our officer, but for the most part, it was just me and him rocking.
Yeah.
So it was a cakewalk. We're close in age. We like the same things. So that was my right hand man. That deployment was a cakewalk, man. a lot of eating out, Chili's, a lot of poetry nights, a lot of working out. I was again in shape. I picked up boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I did a combatives tournament. I really got to enjoy what all that base had to offer.
Yeah.
So that deployment, man, it was real easy, man.
So at that time, was it even more like established and built upon than when we were there the first
Definitely.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, they. I don't know if they had a Chili's there, but they had a Chili's this go around.
Yeah, we didn't have We had Burger King and
Yeah,
McDonald's and like a couple other little like fast foody kind of things.
they had a Chili's this go around.
I remember we got green beans back when we went to Kuwait. That was like the only good thing about
Yes,
being there was they had a green
yes,
beans.
they had green beans. Yeah, man, they had a lot to offer, man. They had green beans, they had Chili's. It was built up. It was so developed, structural wise, with the pools, the outdoor turf, the track. They had a recording studio. They had a stage, a gym, like a basketball gym, bleachers, stands, even down to the communities that the soldiers had formed. You know, that there was a community that they did open mic every Sunday. You know, they rent a building and get all the speakers and whatnot, and they just host open mic. There's a chess club. There was, you know, a group that runs. You know, it was built up in the sense of there was always something to do, whether you wanted to play volleyball or go work out.
Yeah.
You know, once you're done with work, there was something for everybody to do.
See, I might have liked it a little bit more if it was more like that. Because when we were there the first time, it's like it was more than Iraq, but it was like I say, kind of that middle ground of like it wasn't really cool yet. Like they had the nightclub thing, but
Yeah,
like they had the pool, but the pool was always shut down.
right.
And like so, like the only thing we did was 5Ks on the weekends, and we did that one Army 10-miler, and it's like unless you were really into going to the dance club or whatever, there wasn't really anything else.
Yeah, like I said, man, the second go around, you're more confident now. You
Yeah.
kind of you're more exploring everything. I'm spending more money. There's a lot of stuff to buy. I'm investing in gold, man. I got so much gold. You know, we had the off post memo, so you know we're going off post. We're going into the city.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're going into Faha Hill. We're going to the bazaar, the market where they're selling all types of clothes, jewelry, shoes, electronics, just anything you can think of. And I'm just meeting and talking to people. That this go around, I'm just getting out in the city and talking to people in the mall. I talked to people at the mosque. I think we did a mosque trip.
Really? Oh well, we
We did
tried to do the one to go to the ziggurat and stuff
Yeah,
in Adder, but that got nixed.
but we did a trip to the mosque in Kuwait, and we got to talk to. I got to speak with like elders in a different country, in a different religion, and just ask them questions about their history and get their perspective, on life, on religion, on America. Just I did a lot of transitioning. I did a lot of maturing, I should say.
Yeah.
My scope wasn't. It was party, but I was doing more soul searching and understanding this go around. Like I said, I was working my exit strategy, setting my life up, to get out of the military, because what furthermore pushed me out was so we landed in Kuwait December 2016, and like early December, and back home my buddy dies. It's Christmas morning for me.
Yeah.
Back home is Christmas Eve, and me not being able to attend his funeral was like the hammer that dropped that said, I'm done with the military as far as giving it my all. I'm still going to be a good soldier, but I'm not looking at this as a career anymore.
Yeah.
I'm putting all my eggs into cutting hair. This is what I want to do. So now this deployment is setting myself up, essentially take back my life, Me not being able to go back home to his funeral made me feel like I did back in Iraq when we were in Basrah, just not in control.
Yeah.
And it was almost like I don't know, some people, I wouldn't consider it PTSD because it's traumatic, but it put me in the same space. My palms got sweaty and I just felt helpless.
Yeah.
So at that point on that last deployment, I knew this was like my exit. I'm getting out of here. So I'm just checking off blocks. I'm going to see things. I'm asking questions. I'm eating food I've never tried before. I had Turkish coffee, and I learned a lot about that. It's just it was fun.
It's so funny that you say that because like we tried to get you to do some of that stuff the first go around, and you were like that, like nah, I'll just go to McDonald's again.
Nah, I'm cool. I wasn't as open, man.
Yeah. I am jealous that you did the Turkish coffee thing. I've seen videos of that, and did they do like in the sand pot and everything, or?
I can't remember much about it. I just remember my heart about the bust because it's very potent. And it comes in a small, almost like a shot glass.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking it's a sample. So oh, that's good. Let me get another one. And they're just they're like, yo, what are you sure? Yeah. But come to find out, you're supposed to sip on it.
Yeah.
And it's like the size of an espresso, bro.
Yeah. Super
concentrated.
So
yeah, I probably had about 2 or 3 of them. And I was wired, bro. I was wired. I tried Turkish coffee. I got introduced to shawarmas.
Yeah.
I had a shawarma. I love those. So yeah, it was just a lot of exploring, man. I was spreading my wings this go around. I'm not young. I'm still young, but I'm not a child. I'm not a teen.
Late 20s and
right. Was it 2016? So I'm probably like what 23, 24. I'm a little bit older.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm doing more exploring and setting myself up for my future at this point. I like having a lot of perspective. I liked having a lot of perspective at that point. I didn't have it the first go around, but
it's real interesting looking back, thinking of what it would be like if we were to go back now, like me, 3 kids, the family and all that, and it would be just like looking at stuff, way different. Like I probably would try to PT much less just so that I wasn't outside as much to catch a stray IDF or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas at that time it was like, let me get like as jacked as I can in the next 8 months, Like I would maintain, like I would do it, but I would do it in the hardened gym, not running on the street,
I would definitely invest more, spend less.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime was taking all my money. Amazon was getting all my money, bro. I was ordering everything. I saved a lot, but if I were to go back, like you said, I'd be inside, sitting still, man, just saving my money, investing, and setting myself up. Yeah. I can't imagine how, being in my early 20s, I didn't understand it, but I couldn't imagine going overseas right now and leaving my wife and kid. Yeah. I can't imagine doing that, giving up that much freedom, being 19, 20, you don't realize how much freedom you're really giving up or have, but giving up that much and putting your life in the hands of the military and them controlling where you go, when you go, and how you go. I couldn't imagine doing that,
Yeah.
I think that's looking back, that's the sole basis of my feelings toward the military. It's like I can't do it no more. I can't not be in control. And having a whole family behind, I couldn't imagine it, man. You'd probably be, I don't know. I probably would have watched Star Wars.
Well, we did get you to watch Star Wars overseas.
Yeah, I don't even think we finished it. Did we finish it?
I thought we had watched all 3 of the originals.
Yeah, because they're not in. I don't know if we watched them in the order they're supposed to go in.
I think we watched them in order that they were released. So like 4, 5, and 6. That's why I wore my Star Wars shirt. I don't know if but yeah, because
I just remember you guys acting so starstruck and so appalled.
Because you were the only one in the office who had never seen it. You were like, yeah, I'd never seen Star Wars. And like all 9 of the rest of us were like, how have you never seen it at all?
I don't know, man. I think it's just my culture. We didn't grow up on no damn Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like our foundation movies is like Friday, Juice, Boys in the Hood. Like when somebody black say they hadn't seen that, I'm like, that's the reaction I had.
Yeah.
The same reaction you guys had. So,
well,
but it was interesting to get that perspective because I'm like,
well, I'm looking at it as just from a point of like, it's literally one of the biggest things on the planet, like one of the most watched movies of all time. Like, how did you avoid it? Yeah.
I I associated Star Wars with Star Trek.
Yeah.
Futuristic alien movies. I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, I just I didn't care about a storyline.
Just wasn't your thing.
I just saw weird aliens like Jabba the Hutt and I'm like Jar Jar Binks and I'm like, yo, I don't want to watch that. Like, I wasn't into sci-fi, you know, but watching it with you guys, I think it was just the energy of you guys so happy to see this old ass movie that you'd already seen. And everybody, I think we watched it. I think we was camping out outside. We had the pallet deck.
Yeah, we were on the deck. Yeah,
we was chilling outside watching this. Like we set up a whole movie night.
Yeah,
just for me to watch Star Wars.
Yeah, I just remember you being like, "It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be."
Nah,
like it's cool that it's not your thing, but we were just like, "Man, like you got to try it. Like
just at least try it."
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Because I remember I played the Star Wars game on PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember the flying. I don't even know what they're called, and the big woolly mammoth looking robots. I remember shooting them down and all that.
You played like Rogue Squadron or something, or
probably.
Yeah.
You know, and you could run around with a different player and snipe and whatever.
Oh, you might have been playing one of the Battlefield, or I'm sorry, Star Wars Battlefront.
I think it was Battlefront.
Yeah.
I think it was Battlefront, but yeah, I never had an interest in watching a movie until you guys was like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
you never? I was like, not even it.
That's one of the cool things about. I was talking to somebody doing one of the other interviews is like being in the military. If you embrace that aspect of it, you know, like if we were to go on another deployment again, you know, I'd be like, hey man, like, you know, well, I mean, even on our deployment, like you introduced me to hookah and you taught me about what is it, like Geechee in your area.
Yeah.
So I had no idea, you know, and so that's one of the things that I always tried to take advantage of was you know, learning and getting that perspective from other people from different states and different culture and all that, and I would really, you know, that's one of the big things that I would take advantage of, like you say, that how Kuwait was built up. Like I would be down. I'm like, I'm not a big poetry guy, but if you were like, hey man, we should go to poetry night, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's go to poetry night. Like I went to a couple of like I went to, what was it? I went to the Muslim service. I went to a couple of Catholic services and stuff with some of my friends who were, because I'm not those, but I was like, I want to experience and to see, you know, like what it's like to do those things.
Yeah, you do have to be. That is the best part I would say about being in the military is you have to be welcoming to accept different, you know, ideas of life, different cultures and different customs. Because no matter who it's coming from, I think that's a lot of the problem. We'll take the message, but it might be the messenger. But Thunder Dan put me on cigars was probably one of my highlights, because now I'm a cigar smoker, you know.
Yeah.
And I credit him for putting me on cigars. He let me smoke a Padron number 9. And apparently, I didn't realize how expensive this thing was. But
oh yeah, what was it? The one night where he gave us all like $100 cigars. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what. Like, I'm like, how do I even smoke it? How do I even hold it?
Yeah.
You know, and if I wasn't welcoming, I would have never gotten a liking to cigars. You know, who knows if I would have ever touched a cigar? But just him sharing that with us, and I don't know if we ever made it in that magazine.
Oh,
Cigar Aficionado. I remember I was taking a picture for the magazine.
Yeah, he was trying to do that. Yeah, I'd have to ask him. I forgot about that altogether.
Yeah, and that was awesome, man. I love that aspect. It's just, you know, learning new things and taking in people's culture and just seeing different angles of the world. Like you said, you went to a Muslim service. I went to one as well, and just asked, you know, just random questions like, what if somebody disabled, like, and they can't make it to the mosque? What happens?
Yeah.
Like, are they still going to go to heaven or whatever? Just asking questions like that, and just seeing the world, seeing life from a different set of eyes, whether it's entertainment, food, you know, or pastimes, is always a good thing in my eyes, man. I don't think we could have had a better group to do it.
We got pretty lucky.
Yeah, whether it's looking at pictures of this guy in his underwear wrestling, or even just hearing stories like about you going through firefighter training and I never, who knows if I would have ever gotten that insight of what it takes to be a fireman had I not deployed with you. You know what I mean? And for you to break it down the way you did. And I would have never known Scotty Too Hotty's a fireman.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even mentioned that one. Yeah.
I would have never known.
Yeah. I don't know how many people actually know that. I don't even know if he, I mean, it's not like I have an audience, but I don't know if he would appreciate like me telling anybody.
Hey man, Scotty Too Hotty was a staple in my childhood.
Yeah,
doing
the
worm and whatnot.
worm.
I was a wrestling fan, bro. You couldn't tell me nothing.
The blonde hair and the
Yeah,
frosted tips and the worm and all that. Yeah, man.
the whole nine, man.
Yeah, man. Like, gosh, it's one of those things. Like, so much has happened. You just remind. Like, I forgot that I worked with that dude as a firefighter.
Yeah, unlocked memory, man.
He was always super nice and stuff too. So like, yeah, man. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I would say like I missed the most because there was a lot of stuff that sucked, and I mean, obviously we both got out because we didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But I do miss sometimes, especially like that team and what we had, and I mean we had our moments. We got on each other's nerves every once in a while, but we probably all got stepped on Mayberry's toes more than anybody. But
more than anybody, yeah. And that just goes to show the range we had, whether it's messing with Mayberry and getting on her nerves or Massar and Keiron falling asleep or the LT just being weird and not being around and hanging out. And I don't know, it was just so much to pick up.
Yeah.
It was so much, so many different energies in one room. It's unmatched.
So after you finished your last deployment, did you figure out what you had to do to ETS and back to Barber school? Or
so for my last deployment, I knew I didn't have my school 100% covered just yet. I think I was sitting around like 80% at this point. I didn't have enough time to have all my benefits. So they were asking for people to extend. I didn't want to extend, but there was a follow-on mission in Beaumont, Texas.
Okay.
And it's basically the same thing, but I'd be receiving now.
Gotcha.
So Beaumont, Texas is one of the most major military ports on the East Coast, if not the biggest. But so I took on a follow-on mission for a year down in Beaumont, Texas. So I left Kuwait on my second deployment. I came back home for maybe a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
And I shipped right back out to Texas. So now I'm receiving cargo that has my name on it. So like I already know what's coming. I already know what unit. I'm seeing units and familiar names and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I gotta do one more year of active duty time for me to be a full-time barber, for me to be able to go to school full-time and be paid off. Yeah. So I leave my second deployment. I go down to Beaumont, Texas. So now I'm on the back end of, my MOS, all the stuff that we were shipping. I'm now receiving. Now I'm before the door, I'm receiving all this stuff from Kuwait, and we're loading it up on, Army trucks, civilian trucks, and they're getting these containers and Humvees are getting shipped out to Fort Hood, Fort Polk, So I'm down in Beaumont, Texas, just living it up. Like I'm active duty. There's not really a base. It's just a port. So I'm out living in the city of Beaumont, probably about 10 minutes from base. There's no military really there. So everybody's astounded to see, the Army there. They're like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? So it was pretty fun, man. It was real laid back. We didn't have to do PT.
Oh, yeah.
You did PT on your own. I live off base, I get done with work. I take my uniform off. I go to the club or I go hang out. I'm riding motorcycles, traveling around Texas. I'm going down to New Orleans, Bourbon Street. So yeah, that whole year after that deployment was just checking the block. I was loading trucks again, shipping them out. That was just enough for me to get my stuff in order to be a barber at that point.
I imagine that's pretty unique then, because I don't I don't think that there would be many of us who would do both ends, where you show up to on the receiving end of the stuff that you shipped out. Did you meet like any or were there more people like from your deployment that came on that follow-on mission or?
Yeah, there was one sergeant that was he was in the crew of us. You know, the guy that was my soldier on that last deployment, Stewart. He was from Miami. He's from West Palm, Florida. Stewart and Grimes. So Grimes, the guy from Atlanta, we were deployed in Kuwait together whenever we were set to come back, and they were asking, "Hey, who wants to go to this follow-up mission in Texas?" Him and I was like, we saw each other raise our hand, and then we kind of linked up as battle buddies. We moved in together. We both rented a house.
Yeah.
And this is right after Hurricane Harvey hit that Beaumont, Houston area. So right in Beaumont is kind of evacuated. You can still see lines from Hurricane Katrina, how much it flooded.
Oh, yeah.
And in Hurricane Harvey, you can see just as much how it flooded there too. But there were no houses for rent. All the hotels were jammed up. So we had to stay in Houston and travel an hour back and forth until we was able to find housing close to base. And we ended up, moving in together, renting this house. So yeah, it's me and him were the only ones that from our unit that went and did that follow-on mission.
Yeah. You said Grimes was from Atlanta. Were they from a unit in Atlanta that joined on the deployment, or?
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of people volunteered.
Yeah.
For this deployment, and Grimes, he was coming from Atlanta.
Okay, because I'm just trying to remember. I might know them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do.
Because when I got promoted to a unit out of Atlanta, and I'm sure there was a Grimes in the unit up there, if not one of the other units that was in the building. So it's I might know them already.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was cake, man. I had a battle buddy that we were solid. We were both sergeants, both E5s. We were locked in pretty good. We had a house we rented outside of base. It was lovely, man. It was a cakewalk. He was 88 Hotel, so he was out in the container yard and in the motor pool, and he did that side of it. Whereas I drew up the bills for the truck drivers to pay the truck driver.
Yeah.
And coordinated the what would be the carrier?
Yeah.
Whatever the brokers, I believe.
Okay.
You give the person that's going to schedule how many. I say, hey, I got this many pieces. I need 90 trucks to go from here to there.
Gotcha.
And they send me 90 trucks, and I create the bill for them to get paid whenever they drop it off. So yeah, it was a different part of the job, but it was all the streamlined process. I just picked up on the back end.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, man, just to see it all the way through.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm sure that's probably pretty unique for most of us to do that, to go, like you said, door to door, to be on one end of the door and go to the other door on the other end of the line.
It was crazy, man. It was like another cheat code. It was a cheat code, man. It was cakewalk. It was cake. And I kept all my notes. Yeah. I emailed myself all my contacts and whatnot, because once you leave a unit, you get rid of that old email.
Yeah.
And you got to create
if you
another.
had your own thing set up in their system or whatever.
Right.
Because it's all these little intranets put together, not across the internet thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was rewarding as well. Yeah. And at that point, so I'm in Beaumont, Texas. I'm knowing this is my last year on active orders. I'm setting myself up to get out the military. It's 2018 now. I think it's around 2018. I'm in Texas, and I'm going to the doctor. I'm going to the chiropractor. I'm getting all my body looked at.
Yeah. I
find out I get a couple diagnoses. I got a cervical strain. My spine is a little crooked. I got some nerve damage. So, I'm just getting out of the military, just making sure my health is where it needs to be. Yeah, I just coast I just coast, man.
Yeah.
I coast all the way through Texas.
And then you went to go finish up barber school and stuff.
Yeah.
Did they let you
I
like
spent
pick up where you left off, or did you have to start over again?
I had to start over. So
Yeah.
I spent that year in Texas, letting my time stack up so I can, pay for school 100% outright and not have to pay out of pocket. I come back home after spending a year in Texas. So it's like 2019. I load all my stuff. I got a 4-door Chevy Colorado, and I got probably like a 10x6 trailer. I load all my stuff up in there. 2 motorcycles, my bed. I got like a barber chair. I got everything. I hit the road because I'm driving I'm independent at this point. How you are IMA?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much an IMA in Texas. There's nobody from my original unit because I transferred from Charleston to deploy with this Miami unit.
Yeah.
And now I'm in Texas, just all by myself. So I pack up. I had to drive from Beaumont, Texas to Fort Hood to out process. So I'm in Fort Hood for about a week. I get all my stuff squared away, and I start to drive back home from Texas to Charleston, South Carolina. And I jumped right back into barber school. So 2018, 2019, I graduated barber school.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I'm at this point, I left Texas. I get back home. I'm in barber school. And I haven't put on a uniform in about 2 years at this point.
Wow. I
somehow get lost in the system. There's nobody emailing me. There's nobody calling me. I don't know where to report. So I reached back out to the unit in Texas. They already changed leadership. Nobody knows anything. I email the lady, the major butler that put us on the mission, lost in translation. So I'm thinking I'm AWOL at this point. I'm smoking weed. I'm cutting hair. I'm doing everything. Bro, I'm just living life.
Yeah.
I graduated barber school. I'm in the barber shop now. I'm getting money. I'm just living life like a regular civilian. And like I said, it's been probably about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And I haven't put on a uniform. Nobody's contacted me. I don't know what's going on. There's a recruiter that's coming into the barbershop now. And this is the same barbershop I had been getting my hair cut at since I was 15. So yeah. I'm in a well-known area. I kind of know everybody that's coming in and out at this point. This recruiter, he starts to frequent and he becomes cool. And so I asked him, I said, hey man, can you do me a favor? Can you look me up and make sure I'm not AWOL? I just want to make sure I'm okay. I'm not about to go to jail or something. So he runs my name and whatnot. Comes to find out, after I left Texas, I was supposed to be in a unit in Alabama.
And it's like no one told you. Nobody
told me. And there's only like 6 people in this unit. But all my absences have been excused. By the grace of God, I have one more annual training to do, and it's 2020. I'm out the Army. So man, I'm telling you, I had to stop smoking weed. I had to cut my hair. My hair had already started to lock at this point.
Yeah.
It's about 2 years. I hadn't heard from anybody. I'm just quiet. So I have to go for 2 more weeks to do this annual training. And that was it. That was the end of my military career. I was in the barbershop. I was making good money, and I completely put the military on the back burner, man. I was shit. Nobody came for the equipment, nothing.
Yeah.
They're just like, all right,
just whatever.
Bye. Yeah, all right. There was no farewell. No farewell letter, no, none of that. I actually, it came back full circle because once they found out I was supposed to be in that unit in Alabama, I said, hey, man, I only got like a couple more months left before IETS, before I'm done.
Yeah.
They put me back in my very first unit when I was 17.
Really?
Yeah. And it just so happened that the unit my very first unit, they're getting ready to go to Beaumont, where I just left. So it's like I'm always in a position where I can just give insight. So I go back to this unit, I got the baby face again. I had to cut off my beard, cut my hair. Yeah, I close out with them. It wasn't nothing fancy. It was just, this is the last time I put on this uniform, and I'm gone.
Yeah, that's wild.
It was crazy how it went down.
Yeah.
You know, after being home for 2 years and not putting that uniform on to jumping right back in, and just for
one last ride.
One more hoorah. Yeah, one last ride, and then that was all she wrote.
Wow. And then you just did your exit counseling and stuff, and was just like,
it was none of that.
Really, none of that.
It was none of that, man, because I felt like the Army lost track of me.
Yeah.
No one was keeping tabs on me. I had hopped around, especially being a reservist. People think, oh, you're a weekend warrior, you're not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
I had hopped around so much within those past 3 years between volunteering from this unit, being moved to Miami, to go to Kuwait, from Kuwait to Texas, and I was supposed to be in Alabama, but it changed. I had changed so many hands. It was just,
yeah,
bro. I didn't know if I was in the military or not. I had to ask. I was so scared that I was AWOL. I was like, hey man, this recruiter walks in, and I just say, hey man, look me up, please. I need help. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I did my due diligence to try to reach out, though.
Yeah, I mean that's you try. I mean, I've had stuff like that where it's like I contact all the people and talk to, and then somebody comes. But see, I get found though, and somebody comes calling, yelling at me. Where have you been? Like I've only told like 18 sergeants who are right there in the office where I'm going to be.
Yeah, I never got found, man. I had to be found.
Yeah. Like 4 years from now, you're going to get some phone call because your packet's finally going to show up on someone's desk. And they'll be like, hey, you're supposed to come in this weekend? Be like, nah, man, I've been out of the Army for years.
I'm done. And it was scary because I had seen a guy when I went back for that last final drill. I think it was like a 4-day drill. It wasn't nothing regular. It was COVID was here, but we still had to drill. So they made us drill at a hotel. It was awkward.
Yeah.
But we had to do a bunch of classes and stuff. Yeah, I go do this last drill, and but I had watched a guy that had got called back from the IRR.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So they called him out, and he was all fat. He had to lose weight again.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still have all my gear because I just feel like they're going to call me back. Not call me back, but say, hey, we have this clothing record.
Yeah.
That says you owe us this, that, and the third. So
no, that literally happened to me, man. So, yeah. So like when we were leaving, I had stuff get stolen on the way home, and I had to fill out affidavits and all that kind of stuff. And they call me, some other unit from some other place is calling me up, and exactly that. They're like, yeah, we have these records. Clothing record says you have this stuff, and I'm like, nah, man. Like I that was all supposed to be taken care of. Talking about like, it's gonna go to be taken out of my taxes and stuff. It's like because the government wants its money back.
Yeah, they're gonna get that.
Like so, I mean, I mailed off all because I still had copies of the affidavits and everything, and I guess it was taken care of because I never heard again from it about it. But I keep waiting every year to see when we file our taxes and it comes back, like minus $3,000.
Garnish your wages.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. Hasn't happened yet, so hopefully not.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I did what I was supposed to do, like.
I just did what I was told. So nobody told me that I had to turn anything in or whatever the case may be. So I mean, I got everything.
Well, and all that stuff is all obsolete now anyway.
Because they phased out.
Yeah, they're on different uniforms, and they've got the color gear to match it and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah.
But every now and then I'll open old Tough Box or something like that, and I go through some artifacts. I still got T-shirts.
Yeah.
But
I got a bunch of crap in a lockbox. I keep trying to find something to do with it.
Is that backdrop old or new?
This is the blanket that I had that we had gotten overseas. Oh, I'm trying to snatch my headphones off here. But yeah, so this is one of the, because I bought two. Because they were selling them, in all the little shops or whatever and stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is one of the. So yeah, it's pretty old now.
Yeah, I got some stuff. I got like flags and stuff. I got which one of my favorite things I took. So at the port in Kuwait, you know, there's an American flag flown at the port, and every so often we'll change it out because it gets just real sooty and dirty. I had one of those flags that was flown at the port of Kuwait, the S-Pod, and man, it's just looking at that flag. I can only imagine what's in my lungs. You know,
Yep,
I can only imagine.
Go check out Jesse's episode when you get a chance and learn all about that.
I'm pretty sure she's got a whole lot. I mean,
she's having a rough time with it.
I mean, till this day, I still have sinus issues on my record, and I just remember flying in for that first time and sneezing before the plane hits the ground. I have a terrible sense of smell.
Yeah,
like I can smell common things, but I don't know. If it's like gasoline, anything outside of a common, natural, everyday smell, I'm not going to smell.
Really?
I'm not going to smell it. Yeah. I got to get right up on it. Either that or my wife has the nose of a bloodhound and she smells everything.
Well, no, that's one of the things included in the PACT Act is like loss of sense of smell and stuff. So you can go get your VA stuff done with that and all. But yeah, man, it's wild. And how many times did they have us sitting in classes and we're like, hey, you know, we're wondering about because at Basrah they had that incinerator right outside of post.
Right outside,
yeah, just burning trash 24/7. And so between that and all the dust storms and stuff, we're like, hey, you know, like we're worried about our respiratory health, and they're like, oh, so many parts per million, this and we've done the research, and here we are 10 years later, and they're like, oh, you know, like that was kind of wrong, and everybody over there, even if you were only there for like a year, you're probably pretty fucked up the rest of your life.
Yeah, pretty much. Your lungs are shot.
Yeah,
I got pictures, man, of probably about a half-inch thick of sand inside the buildings.
Yeah,
you know, on the windowsill, like sand and dust and dirt. It was just so fine, and it was so fine. It was everywhere. You know, I had sand in places like you were chewing it. It was just the air quality was so horrible, man, terrible. I looked into the PACT Act, but I mean, I'm permanent and total. I everything that was wrong with me has been reported, bro, and there's no way it didn't come from all that, you know, from the breathing, the respiratory issues, the sinus issues. Come on, man. Looking back, that was no place to be taking deep breaths in or running or exercising. You know what I mean?
Our dumbasses like running out in sandstorms and stuff.
Let's go running outside. You know? Nah.
Yep, gonna be a fun time. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, do you not have any complications?
I do, but I'm still working on my stuff. So
gotcha. Yeah, it's a process, but yeah, man, it's looking back. You go in a deployment or you go in service and you come out a totally different way. I mean, all in all, I mean, would you do it again?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I went to go try to get back into. I was going to go Air Force a couple of years ago. I would do things a little differently. Like when I was getting out near the end of my time, I was transitioning into military intelligence. And I was in a unit there, and I went IRR and got all fat and stuff. And when I was coming back, I was like, all right, I got to get back in shape. And I was on the road there, but I just got so fed up with how the Army was doing everything. So like if I were to go back, I would probably try to transition to Air Force and do a different job. So it's like it's not that I wouldn't go back. I would just do it differently than what I did. Well, and it's like I have to consider the family and all that kind of stuff, you know. So I'm not going to be running for assignments overseas and things necessarily. Right. But unless I were to finish my schooling and be an officer and be able to take the family with me, kind of idea.
That's probably what I would have. Well, I probably wouldn't have did it different because I did it the way I had to. A lot of people ask why did you join the military or what was the deciding factor, and it was strictly for survival. You know, that's just how I grew up. I needed to find a way, and the military was that. The Army was that avenue to set me up, to put me in position, you know, to put me around people, to teach me things, for me to learn things while, you know, gaining experience and time to buy myself. I bought myself a lot of time being in the military. That could have been time just doing graffiti or getting in trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd definitely do it again.
I mean,
I needed it. Yeah.
I think the only things that I would really change about my previous time, if I could, were just to be the stuff near the end of it. Because, like, I could have probably done more when they were drawing down to keep myself in, but I got so fed up with it. So it's like because the deployment, as much as it sucked, I had a great time with you guys. We had a lot of fun. We did a lot of cool stuff. I was doing a lot of cool things at the time. I was enjoying a lot of the stuff I was doing. I liked being in the Army. It was everything that came after that in those years. And just I was tired of getting dumped on all the time because, you know, they were trying to push people out and it didn't matter if they were good, bad, or whatever, you know. So it's like if I could change the way the Army handled all their bullshit, that would, you know, like if they had done the responsible drawdown in a responsible way, I would have stayed for sure.
But yeah, I definitely would have got out sooner. I would have compressed that 12 years into probably that 6 years because I re-enlisted once. Damn. I'm just thinking, like, did I sign up for 6 years off the rip? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, I probably would have got it if I could do it again. I would definitely compress all my efforts into that first 6 years of you know. And it took some time to grow up and figure out what I wanted to do, but I compressed all my thoughts into that 6 years. Yeah. And get everything out of the way, you know.
Maybe they got on that second deployment immediately after the first one, and
I probably would have extended, you know what I mean, and then
get the active duty time a little earlier.
Yeah, because I mean, all I did was draw it out.
Yeah,
especially coming home and not really having my feet planted yet.
Yeah.
So
one thing I have started asking is if there was one thing that you didn't get to do while in the Army that you wanted to do, what would that be?
There's one thing I didn't get to do. Oddly enough, bro, it'd be drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I would definitely take that trip. I'd be a drill sergeant because, like we said, man, I see them different. Understanding they had to be up before us, go to sleep after us. They dedicated their time and energy to making me who I was, you know, making regular people soldiers. And those type of people I don't know if you remember any of your drill sergeants, but they're burned into my life forever. Like they're burned into my memory.
There's definitely a few of them I will never forget.
Yeah, there's quotes and scenarios that I can play in my head and hear my drill sergeant and I can see him. And I actually ran into one of my drill sergeants. I don't know if it was a first or second deployment. He didn't remember me, of course, but I recognized him. And so if I could go back and do something that I didn't get to do, it would definitely be a drill sergeant. That's probably the staple of being in the Army is the drill sergeant. You know, he is the standard, the freshest, the cleanest. I never see my drill sergeants get dirty.
Yeah.
Like they'd be dirty, but then they'd always have a new uniform.
Yeah.
Like they never walk around dirty. It's crazy.
Would be pretty cool having that round brown for a little while.
Yeah. I always loved that thing, man. That's it. Yeah. I tried to get into a drill sergeant unit because there's reserve drill sergeants as well. And they go and volunteer for cycles. They'll probably go in for a cycle or two and come out. They're not set 2 years like everybody else.
Yeah, no, they were like the in-between. They would do like the reception and stuff and not like the full trail or whatever.
Right. They get in there.
Because I looked into it too at one time and when I was in E5, but it was just one of those where at the time they were really trying to move because it's an E6 position and like you could join a drill sergeant unit as an E5 and get promoted into an E6, but because of like the drawdown and stuff, at least in my area, all the drill sergeant units were all full up of a bunch of E5s that were trying to get their E6, so there was nothing available at the time for me to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I actually had a drill sergeant that was E5 when I was in basic training.
Yeah.
And when I got to the unit, when I got back home and I was looking at the drill sergeant unit, they was willing to take me. I just didn't have the score. My GT score was low.
Gotcha.
So I probably would have had to retake the ASVAB. Like they wanted 100 and they waved it down to a 90. I had an 89.
Like, come on, you can't give me that 1 point.
Just out of reach.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I regret not being able to do was be a drill sergeant.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to do that because they actually got to go back to basic training.
Yeah. So all in all, though, you would say that the military was worth it to get you where you are now?
Most definitely. All in all, it gave me so much perspective. I was welcoming of everybody. Just whether it was soldiers or, third country nationals or people I ran into on the other side of the world, it gave me a lot of perspective. And I don't think you can just get that and living a regular life. Normal people, they hang around the same people. They go to the same spots.
Yeah.
The military just puts you out there. You learn a lot about yourself when you put yourself in uncomfortable positions.
Yeah.
And being in the military taught me a lot about myself. It gave me a lot of attributes that I don't think I could have got anywhere else. Standing Soldier of the Month board made me an expert at being interviewed. I always aced a job interview. I had never had a problem doing a job interview because I'm sitting in front of a board of sergeant majors getting grilled. You know what I'm saying? So the military, I translated a lot of what I learned into regular life. And I don't think I could have got that just being a regular average Joe. I probably would have got there, but in a different way. I probably would have had a different mentality. I still have a military mindset of, getting to places early instead of on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, it was worth it.
Did you eventually started getting places early?
Yeah. But, what I mean? It helped me be on time.
I don't know if we ever told you that, but like when we were in Iraq, a lot of times we would tell you whatever, like the time, we would tell you 10 minutes before.
Yeah, because
so that you would be on time.
I was a kid, man. I oversleep. My alarm wasn't working.
You'd hit the snooze a couple times.
I'm telling you, because I was just out on my own. Like my mentality being in the military, I was so young. The military raised me, from 17 to 29. It was a lot of military. If not military, it was paramilitary. Because like I said, I did the prison, the CO thing for a while. But yeah, I had to, I learned to be on time. I broke a lot of habits.
Yeah.
I broke a lot of habits being in the military. Gained some new ones.
Yeah.
But broke a lot of habits. No, I don't remember y'all telling me to be early and whatnot.
Yeah, we would do that. We would tell you like 10 minutes earlier than when we were supposed to be, so you'd show up on time.
Yeah, man, I needed it, man.
Because it's like if we had to leave at 9, we'd tell you 8:50, because you weren't showing up at 8:50. You'd show up 10 minutes later, like 9.
I'd show up at 9. That's crazy. You know what? I don't remember ever being late until you brought that up.
You were late in my mind, all the time.
Like, I'm a new person now. I've already reprogrammed myself. You can tell me a time I was late.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those too where it goes back to like we were lucky we had a good team where we were close and able to do that because we weren't sitting around going like, oh man, like Thompson is the worst and we got to wait on him. We were just like, we got to do what we got to do to get everybody there, and we'll get it. So we tell him 10 minutes early, and he shows up when he does, and it's just kind of, when you learn your people and how they tick, and you learn what you got to do to make the machine run well, and we ran well.
Yeah, I don't think there was too many times we butt heads, or anybody butt heads. I know we got frustrated. We would get frustrated, and I think that just comes with the territory of working long hours, being
tired. Yeah.
It was wholesome. It was more like a family. Yeah, hell yeah. I think I'd do that again.
Yeah.
Just give it.
I'd go
Just give
back
it.
there with you guys again. If I have that same team, I'd do that.
I'd enjoy it more. I
It's a
mean,
fun
down to the
time.
small things like ordering small helicopters to fly around.
We'd be getting much bigger helicopters this time.
Definitely. And I think we'd get in more trouble. Definitely get in more trouble.
Let's see where we can fly this drone around. See if we get shot out the sky.
And that was before drones were a thing. Like, man, we were definitely ahead of our time. I would say we were ahead of our time. We didn't enjoy it as much as we would now.
Yeah.
I think. I tell people stories all the time. I don't know if it was. I think it was Sergeant Devalier. I think we realized we'd have to give the vehicles back.
Yeah.
And we were just out in the field where there was a bunch of potholes, just driving the. I think we were in there with the Kevlars and whatnot, just driving in the. I remember doing that, man. Just driving the SUV. I think we had an SUV, or was it a van?
We had multiple. We had the SUV in Basrah, we had the van in Adder. And do you remember trying to drive over like that giant rock or whatever the fuck it was? It was like a 3.5 foot tall.
The speed bumps?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't the speed bump. It was just off the road, and it was like this huge 3.5 foot tall, just like I don't know if it was just like a pile of concrete that fell off of a truck, but it was just this round, smooth little hill.
Oh man!
And we tried to hit that thing in the van and stuff, and
we were just trying to destroy the van before we gave it to the Iraqis.
Yeah, we were like, we're giving this van away anyway, whatever, fuck it. And then we were trying, we'd hit those speed bumps super fast and stuff.
Just hit it.
Like, I don't know if this thing's going to make it over that bump, but let's try.
It was worth it, man. I think we were just kids having fun. There's certain songs that still play that are time capsules.
Yep.
I still hear na 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 na.
Yeah, oh
Doesn't
yeah.
Matter.
Oh my
We're
goodness,
going
what is the name of that song?
Stuff like that. There's a couple songs that are.
A big one was Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a big one. Kicks. Pumped Up Kicks. And then the one you're talking about, oh my god, I have to look it up at the name of that song, but we're going at it tonight.
Whatever.
Party on a rooftop, top of the world. That's that one. I just can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Katy Perry had a big one that played all the time at that time. Perry? Yeah, she had one that was on the Army radio all the time.
Man, that internet was trash. Sniper Hill. You remember that? Sniper Hill internet.
I remember Demore all the time singing Pumped Up Kicks because like he freaking loved that song. I don't know if he loved that song, but he loved to try to annoy us with the song.
Demore. Oh man. I haven't spoken to that guy in years.
No.
I actually I ran into one of the Coast Guard guys we had with us, Parker. Back in Charleston, when I was on my run of trying to be a cop, I was working at this federal law enforcement training center. I was at the gate, and it was the training base for maritime law enforcement. So a lot of Coast Guard guys would come through there for, all types of law enforcement training, all types of cops, different branches, civilians, everybody. And this guy comes to the gate. He handed me his Coast Guard ID. And I look at it, and I look up at him, and I look down at the ID, and I say, "Hey, man, you happen to be in Iraq 2011?" And sure enough, it was him. We vaguely remember each other because I think we were in passing. But
yes, I don't remember a Parker.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember his mustache because he had a mustache like a push broom.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I ran into that guy on the other side of the world. That's the second person I ran into twice on different sides of the world.
Really?
Home and then in Iraq. Another guy, man, Eric. I wrestled with Eric. We were on the same wrestling team. We wrestled all through high school together. I ran into him doing a pickup mission somewhere in Iraq, and in the DFAC.
Really?
He was like, "Hey, man, He was like, "What you doing here?" I was like, "I'm deployed, bro. What are you doing here?" And I think he was with First Cav or something.
Yeah.
They was all out of Fort Hood, and it was weird seeing him on the other side of the world. Matter of fact, when I got back, I landed in the airport, walked to the parking garage to my brother's car. We got in the car and we were leaving out. The lady that works the toll booth was Eric's mom.
Wow.
And I said, "Man, I just saw your son on the other side of the world." It was small. It's just so small, man. Yeah. Small world.
It's crazy. Well, we've been going for about 3 hours now.
Damn. Wow.
It feels like kind of a natural stopping point, unless
Mm-hmm.
you have anything specific that you got on your mind and want to express, or.
Nah, man. I think I covered the gist of it.
Yeah.
I unlocked some memories that I forgot about talking to you, so I definitely want to do this again. I kind of got a better feel for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you come up with some more stuff and you want to schedule another time and all that, yeah, I'm definitely down. And I'm working on trying to get like a bunch of us on at one time to do a thing, but that's going to be probably a little bit further down the road.
Cool.
Scheduling gets to be fun with doing it.
Good luck with that, but I'm here for it.
Well, cool, man. Well, thank you very much for doing this with me. And
no problem,
sitting down,
man.
giving me a little bit of time and telling your story and stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I'll be on the lookout. I still got to finish Thunder Dance, man.
Man, that's the first one. I'm on episode like 10 or something now of the main series. I know,
series. But I finally see how easy it is to go 3 hours.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, that's one of the funniest things. Like a lot of people when I first started putting them out, because we've cut them up into parts and stuff. But they're like, man, like these are long. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you just start going, and then all of a sudden, like 3 hours later, it's like
3 hours later.
Yeah. It's going to be several weeks before this one comes out, but I'll give you a heads up when it's on its way.
Hey, sounds good, man. Looking forward to it.